Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel where first things first, I just received an email from Twitter saying it is 10 years old, so happy birthday Twitter. Now on to the real action going on. It is the end of another weekend of Super Rugby. That is the fourth round now complete. We're going to look through the results from round number 4, my predictions, my guesses, and how badly and how incorrect I was. Alrighty, so we've got an absolute pile of stuff to get through this round, so let's dig straight into it. The first match of the weekend was, of course, the Hurricanes at home to the Western Force, and this was a match that had the potential to really go either way, and for the most part, it did as well. The Force showed a distinct, disruptive defensive line that they controlled the tempo of by rushing up to the Hurricanes' attacking line. They didn't allow them to really gain any momentum and any forward movement off their play, which is really where the Force based their whole game around. Along with that, the Force, they chose just to kick every piece of possession they had, try to play the territory game, the strong defensive game. The Hurricanes, they needed to adapt and they need to change the way they played to get any line breaks in this game. I thought for the Force, Peter Grant and Matt Hodgson were outstanding as well. As always, I think Hodgson's always a player that is right up there. The Hurricanes, though, they were full of mistakes. They had no patience on attack because they had plenty of chances. They had a lot of the ball as well. They were forcing that last pass. They were just doing everything as if it was the last throw of the dice. And the Force, to their credit, they defended so well, try-saving tackles all over the place. Julian Savea couldn't break his way out of a paper bag, and the Hurricanes were struggling to find that real last final push towards the line. Their back row, I thought, was superb for the most part, as well as they were quite instrumental in getting them to go forward against this amazing defense of the Force when they kept it tight to the ruck. For the Hurricanes, I thought Corey Jane was again relatively ineffective. James Marshall, on the other hand, in the back line was easily the star of the match. Amazingly, at the 55-minute mark, this game was 10-6 to the Hurricanes. It was just a 4-point lead, but as we got near that hour mark, the floodgates opened, and they really opened in a really big way. The score absolutely blew out of proportion. The substitutes come on and just smash the scoreline completely out of the water, all the way, in fact, from 10-6 with 25 minutes to go to 41-6, the final score. What a thrashing. I thought the game was going exactly how I expected till that last 20 minutes where it just completely fell away for the Force. Everything went wrong. Their defense wasn't working the same. The substitutes were coming on and making some different kinds of plays that really affected their defense, and it blew out big time. My prediction was 22-18 also to the Hurricanes, which means I picked myself up 1 point for getting the winner correct. So that was a great way to start round 4, but it got even better as we made our way over to Australia, where the Waratahs were at home waiting for the defending champions, the Highlanders, in a replay of that semi-final in 2015. It was had the prospect to be a cracking match, but the first half, well, it was anything but. Rob Thompson is a superstar in this Highlanders backline. He is clicking perfectly into the spots that he's given to fill. The Highlanders were dominant and they really owned that first half of the match. Their attack was amazing. Their defense was superb. The Highlanders forwards were demolishing, absolutely demolishing, emphasis on that word, demolishing, the forward pack of the Waratahs, absolutely destroying them every which way you could think of. The field has been mentioned not only in this match, but a number of games throughout the weekend where the scrums were tearing the fields to shreds, which is a bit of a concern about how quickly and how easily the fields are ripping up. I thought Aaron Smith, isn't he just the best player in the world right now? I know a lot of you may disagree or say someone else is better, but when you go and say how good of a player he is, how much of an inspiration he is to his forward pack, how well he performs, consistency, he is just a freak an absolute freak. He is amazing, amazing player. And once again, like we saw in round 3, the Highlanders, they were at their best once again. It was 22-0 at halftime. 3 tries to zip in the first 40 minutes, and they kept going straight after the break as well, to the point that it was about 30 points to 0 at one point of the match. Elliot Dixon had a fantastic game as well for the Highlanders. He's really starting to consistently show why he should be considered for higher honours later on this year. He was just fantastic, as he has been all of last season as well. Once again, I mentioned Aaron Smith, but also Ben Smith was fantastic. Fikatoa, all brilliant for the Highlanders as our class act, and the Waratahs had no answer until it all happened. With about 25 minutes to go, the whole match changed, just like it did in the Hurricanes match as well. A big fight back late on. One man, Jed Holloway especially, who was just phenomenal coming off the bench, was massive. He really led this team. He grabbed himself a hat-trick of tries, 2 if I'm not mistaken. He did indeed, off the bench, to score 3 tries as a forward as well in the back row. Just unthinkable stuff from the Waratahs. Massive fight back. They scored try after try after try, and they snuck back. It was 37, 30-12, 30-19, 30-26. With 8 minutes to go, the Waratahs had clawed their way back. Another man I thought was huge off the bench was Reece Robinson, the former league player as well. He had a massive impact in this Waratahs side, and they just clawed their way back. But the Highlanders had the nuts to hang on by a whisker to win 30 points to 26 after leading 30-0 with 25 minutes to go. What a game that was. A just phenomenal, outstanding, amazing game. 2 halves. The Highlanders dominated for a good 50 minutes, and then the Waratahs just blew them completely off the park with some late, amazing play in the match. It was a fantastic game to watch. I predicted the score would be 35-33, so I wasn't too far off in terms of the difference, but my points was a wee way off that scoreline. I still pick up the 1 point for calling the Highlanders out to be winners. Next up was the big South African derby match. This was huge. The Bulls versus the Sharks. And the Bulls' home record really spoke for itself against the Sharks as well. The Sharks looking a bit aside heading into this, but the Bulls always seem to pull it out when they're at home, and they did everything they could to accumulate points, taking drop goals, penalties, everything that was thrown their way. Questions have to be asked though. Big questions must be asked. Why was there no numbers on the back of the Sharks shirts? I did find that extremely bizarre. Made it quite difficult, really, especially if there's a commentator out there calling that match, which there was, of course, to know who exactly was who. The numbers really do help in those situations, but just strange that there was no numbers on the shirts. I didn't quite understand that. The first half was all the Bulls, but the Sharks, they did well, they hung tough, and they sparked into life in the second half. Both sides, though, throughout the match only managed the 1 try, and the Sharks were right there with a chance to win this match. Right at the end, the scores were tied in the 79th minute. The Bulls scoring a penalty with really seconds to go on the clock. The Sharks fought back. They got themselves a penalty. Joe Peterson to win the match. It was tied up, and he blew it. He blew it. Coetzee somehow pulled out the penalty of his life almost to secure the shot at goal. Slightly off to the right, pretty much right in front, 20 metres out. How did he miss it? Joe Peterson, I have to credit him, has been fantastic filling in that number 10 jumper. But how on earth did he miss that shot at goal? I do not know. He resigned the game to a 16-all draw. Our first of the weekend, and I think our first of the whole competition as well. 16-all the scoreline. My prediction was 29-15 to the Sharks, So half of that I got right, but ultimately 0 points in the bank for me. What a game that was between two real strong teams of this competition. But we made our way back over to Japan to see the Sunwolves in action in a game they really had to win. They need a win here, the Sunwolves. They're up against the Rebels, and I felt this was really the point right now where the pressure really starts to go on the Sunwolves to get results. And the start of the match was a far cry from what we've seen from them in round 3. Both sides opting for any points they get their hands on, kicks, penalties, shots at goal, whatever you want. There was no real specific attempts to get tries. They were taking everything they could, and it was pretty tight at half-time as well. 11 points to 9. The Rebels with a 2-point lead, but after half-time, just like all the other matches so far, things changed so much. The Rebels looked a lot more likely to score points and to score tries especially, but the credit really for the Rebels has to go to their defence. The Sunwolves, we know, are a very good attacking side. They've got ability and talent to score from all over the field, as the Cheetahs know all about. But the defence of the Rebels was amazing, and in the second half, their attack woke up, and after that, it was almost a case of goodbye and good night for the Sunwolves, as we got a whole pile of points going to the Rebels, blowing the score out late. We also got our first yellow card of the weekend, but once again, the Sunwolves just fell away late in the match. The last 20 minutes or so, they were just out of puff, they were out of steam, a weak finish, and they allowed their opponents to get back in the game if they weren't. Like last weekend, we saw in round 3. This weekend, they're in it, they're right there, there or thereabouts within a scoring play of winning the game, and then they just fade away. Down the hill they go, slippery slope, it is all over. The Rebels, to their credit, they finished fantastically and scored themselves a lot of points as well. Final score there, if you believe it, 35-9. A huge win for the Rebels. I mean, that's a very, very good win for the Rebels. I picked the Sunwolves to win 19-10, so I was miles away completely. 0 points for me on that one. The Rebels with a fantastic win, showing that they will not be pushovers in 2016. We made our way back to New Zealand for the 5th match of the round, and it was the Crusaders at home, back from the bye up against the Kings, and all things pointed to this match being a bit of a blowout, being a blowover, a presumed mismatch between these two sides, but the Kings are not ones to be told how their games are played. They had an amazing start. They were leading 10-0. Yeah, they were leading 10-0 after about 15 minutes. The Kings had a brilliant start, and they looked like they were here to play. They were here to beat the Crusaders, and for the opening, like I said, 15-20 minutes, the Kings were really in this match. They were aggressively attacking the Crusaders by defence. Once again, intercept try, which is, doesn't matter how they come, as long as it gets points on the board. And, you know, 10-0 against the Crusaders, they had to be happy with that. The Crusaders took a while to really get into their work, but once they did, they were really into the game as well. It was typical Crusaders, really. The back line just had to play things out, get into it. They were playing beautifully, though, when they did get going. Interplay between backs and forwards. You know, you see the Reeds, the Taufuas and the like out on the wide areas of the park, being the link players, being that catch and pass player that they do oh so well in Crusaders colours. Nadolo, again, the man is a freak. He was brilliant. His destructive best. Taufua, I've already mentioned, absolute workhorse. He was fantastic. But the Kings, their defence, really, after that great start, when the pressure come on them and the points started to accumulate, their defence, it slipped away. Their attack, their hope, their dreams of a win at Crusaders faded away, and they really did have very little to show from the rest of the match. They did, however, accumulate themselves 24 points throughout the game, which is pretty good, but how much of that was the Crusaders, you know, happy with their lead and looking to just attack instead of grind down a hard-fought victory. The final score was 57-24, the Crusaders putting the half-century on the Kings, but still They got a lot of points themselves, which is quite an achievement to do. My prediction was 47-18, so I wasn't too far off, but not quite enough to get that bonus point. I just pick up the 1 point for getting the correct winner. So following that thrashing from the Crusaders, we made our way over to Queensland, where the Reds will face the Blues in the Battle of the Colours once again. Now this one, I thought the Blues should do quite easily, and they looked a lot better aside. Out of the start, out of the blocks, they were attacking a lot better, breaking the line at will. They looked like it was just a matter of time before they blew this one away, but they just struggled to get their finishing touches early on. They had no composure and ended up making mistakes, which is typically Blues, but I thought against the Reds that surely they would come right. Both sides had pretty dodgy defence throughout the match, and the Reds, well, they were doing what they probably planned to do, and that was living off the Blues' errors, and they really just made their way through that. Mistakes in the Blues, they used their ball, got their way upfield, and they just relied on the Blues to screw up, and the Reds just taking all they could, counter-attacking what the Blues had thrown at them, so they were absorbing and then hitting straight back. It was really a fantastic game plan to have against the Blues, a team that will really throw all the exotic plays at you and then make a silly mistake and not be organised in defence to the counter-attack. The Reds have got some pretty talented players still. Carmichael Hunt had a fairly decent game. First time we've really even seen him do anything constructive for the Reds. From fullback, he kept Goromaru out of the match as well. But they seem to have, with their coach now departed, they've got new ideas, new plans that seem to be working, especially like this against the Blues. The Reds forward pack, definitely the stronger of the two, which was a great base for them to attack the Blues off as well. They were getting a lot of scrum penalties as well, because the Blues were making mistakes on knock on. Reds would pack a scrum, blow over the Blues, a penalty, upfield they go. It was a really good game plan, has to be said, by the Reds. The Blues, though, they were always owning the game in the back line. They were breaking the game apart on numerous occasions, but the Reds were doing the same straight back to them. Broken play was their friend as well. The game got really tight in the last few minutes. The 74th minute, the Blues scored a try, which made it 25-22 to the Reds. Now, it was game on here. The Reds scrum pulled out a yellow for the Blues, who had been warned not to give away scrum penalties. They just couldn't not do it. The Reds pack was too strong. I thought at that point, game over. The Reds would easily see this one out, but not to be. The Blues really knuckled down here and pick and go for a good 3 or 4 minutes before they earned a penalty, where this is where there's a lot of controversy about this call. The Blues opting for the shot at 3 points by Jaguares to get the draw instead of going to touch, which they can now, and taking a line out. Now, what do you guys think about this? Do you take the 3 and take the draw, or do you risk the loss to take the win? Now, I know a lot of you for the Northern Hemisphere will be remembering back to Rob Shaw's decision to do something similar. He went for the corner at the Rugby World Cup, lost the match, and ultimately took a lot of stick from that. Tana Umaga is taking a lot of stick for this call as well, but you got to say his points in the bank for the Blues, which they really probably didn't deserve throughout the game. The Reds, I think they played quite well. They had a game plan to attack the mistakes of the Blues, and they did it pretty well as well. The Blues, though, they've got to work on their composure, work on that final play, their continuity, and keeping the ball in hand is really going to be something they have to improve on. Final score again was 25-25. My score prediction for that one was 33-11, the Blues to thrash the Reds. That didn't happen for me. So from that, I take 0 points. So our 7th match of the weekend, and we go from the Battle of the Colours to the Battle of the Cats. That's right, it's the Lions up against the Cheetahs, and the Cheetahs, they come to play. Almost scoring an amazing try just a couple of minutes into the match, which would have set this one absolutely alight straight off the whistle. The Cheetahs, though, like the Blues, were guilty of making a lot of mistakes. And the Lions, they're too good of a side, unlike the Reds, to ignore. And they did get some great opportunities from the mistakes of the Cheetahs. Elton Yancey's went down to a bit of an injury that saw him off and on the field for good portions of the match, but if he does miss full games, it will be a huge loss for the Lions if he is out for any full matches. The Cheetahs were put under a lot of defensive pressure, scrambling around trying to save themselves from conceding tries, which for the first half mostly was working for them. The Lions really throwing them under the bus, trying to put the points on the board, but the Lions did score eventually either side of half time, which is the ultimate time to hurt another team. That is when it really kicks them in the nuts the most. The Cheetahs, they had to come back, and they did as well. In the middle of the second half, they had a strong, big comeback as they need to fight their way back into this game. And then the yellow card to Van Rensburg for the Lions really opened the game up. But ultimately, the Lions closed it out nicely, and they come away with the winning points to take out the cap battle between the Lions and the Cheetahs. Final score on this one, 39-22. My score prediction for this one was 24-18 to the Lions, so I picked myself up again 1 point for getting the correct winner right. Just 2 games now remain for the 4th round of Super Rugby, and the massive one coming out of South Africa next was the Stormers up against the Brumbies. And this game started off at a frantic pace, both sides attacking for large periods of the match. The defence ruled, but the attack was aggressive. It was a very passionate, feisty, aggressive again matchup between these two sides. I think there was no love lost between either of them, but I think the Stormers have discovered something that other teams would like to see very, very much, and that is a big, big gap in the Brumbies' armour. It's their composure. It is their ability to keep cool and stay calm and not get rattled by the opposition. The Brumbies, that's where they fell away. And it was a very, very tight match between these two sides, but the niggly Stormers did get their reward. A massive call as well, but something that you almost felt the Stormers were working on certain players, and it was Josh Man Ray who picked up a red card, the first red card of the tournament for, well, really laying in to one of the Stormers players, punches, elbows, everything you could imagine. It was like we were taking on a boxing fight or martial arts or something, I don't know, but he just went to town. The ref, he deliberated about it for so long. We saw 120 million different views of a couple of punches. Is it yellow? Is it red? Do we set him off? What do we do? Someone make a decision. Eventually they did, and they went with the red card, which summed this game right up. As the Stormers proved after that, they are far too good for a 14-man rattled Brumbies team. But I do feel whoever faces them next may face somewhat of a backlash from this performance by the Brumbies. Man Ray, on the other hand, he's going to be suspended for only 1 week, I read today, for that little onslaught he had against the Stormers. But that wasn't the last piece of controversy out of this match. Dylan Lads scored a try. Hang on, let's put the inverted speech marks in there. A try. That wasn't really a try. Now, even the man himself that scored it shook his head as soon as he got up from that try and said, "No, ref, don't worry about it. I've dropped the ball. Don't celebrate. Go away. It's no try. I have dropped the ball." The ref still wanted to have a look, which fair play to him, and eventually, how does this happen? Awarded the try for he didn't lose connection with the ball. Now, this is a real strange one to me, because the ball was under no control. It was propelled forward out of his hands, or can you say it was propelled backwards and wasn't a knock on? There was always connection between his arm and the ball, which is arguable because it was pretty touch and go for most parts there. It was a really strange call. Most TMOs will look at that and say, yeah, no try, especially after the player comes along and says, no, don't even look at it. I'm telling you now, it's no try. It's just like in cricket. You say you don't catch it, people take your word, even if you say you do catch it, which is a bit weird sometimes. But it was given a try. The Stormers were laughing their way to the bank. I was speechless at that point completely, and the Stormers, well, they were joyant after that display, and they went on to score those couple of late tries, which blew the scoreline out massively, all the way to 38 points to 11. Now, I had the Brumbies winning that one 23-13 over the Stormers, but, well, the way that match went, there was no way the Brumbies were going to win that one. What a bizarre game. Really bizarre game. I'm interested to see what everyone thought about that try as well that the Stormers scored. It was just bizarre. So bizarre for that to happen as well. So I pick up 0 points from that match as well. My score was miles away and my winner was completely wrong as well. Alright, we're almost to the end. It is the final match of the weekend, and I was really excited for this one. I set my alarm and I got up early, about 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. That's early for me. To see the Jaguares face up against the Chiefs. I was really excited for this match. First home game for the Jaguares, and I suppose it won't be the last time I'll be getting up at 10 a.m. to watch this amazing team from Argentina. Boy, oh boy, wasn't this occasion just phenomenal. It was amazing. The crowd was huge. The buzz, the excitement. Really, the Chiefs, you feel sorry for them being the first team over there. They had to suck it up, but it was a truly spectacular match as well. The hype was huge. The first home game, as I said, sold out as well. And I think heading into this game, discipline was going to be key for the Jaguars as well. They couldn't afford another yellow card session like they had in their opening 2 games. The Jaguars, they know where their strengths are as well. They're Argentinian and their scrum is where it's at. It was destructive, it was brutal, and they dominated at scrum time for the opening portions of the match. They attacked too from all areas, which was so exciting to see in their own 22. They were running it out. They were throwing the offloads as well. The crowd were exploding as they mauled the way upfield from a line out as well. It was just a joy to watch. The Jaguars looked like they were really living off the crowd, and the crowd were living off the Jaguars. But the Chiefs were there as well. Don't forget about the Chiefs. They were there as well. And this Chiefs team, they've just got this freakish ability. And it is freakish. Don't sugarcoat it at all. Because they can just score tries from anywhere. Nothing on whatsoever. They just have players that will just bust through one tackle or slip past one man and bang, it's on, and they're just like bees to honey. They just swarm around them as support, and just really, they are the ultimate side when it comes to supporting a break. They are just unbelievable. Their ability, as I say, to score from anywhere and with nothing on the table whatsoever is just absurd to watch, and you're watching it and you know nothing's going to happen, and then bang, they're away and they're gone. It is just unreal. And the Jaguars, to their credit, they defended well, but you just can't defend some of this stuff that the Chiefs come up with. Offloads flying away in field, it's just ridiculous what they can do. The real battle, though, was the forward battle, and the Jaguars, although late on in the match, they did get a bit of a tickle up from the Chiefs forward pack as well as they come off the bench, but it was a real fight upstairs in the engine room between these two forward packs. The Chiefs, though, they looked like they were going to lose the match. They looked like they were going to win. They scored some more unbelievably ridiculous tries, and the finish to this match, well, if you haven't seen this game, I suggest you go and watch the last 10 minutes if you can, or even a highlights package, and keep an eye on the clock, because my God, I was watching this and I was like, yeah, the Chiefs are gonna easily pull this one away, and then, oh, the Jaguars are in, the Jaguars are in, it is game on, the Jaguars, now they've got the lead, the Jaguars with a couple of minutes to go, they're gonna pull it out of the fire, but no, the Chiefs, they come storming back, and they score just absolute ridiculous try. The Jaguars' last try was utterly ridiculous as well. The level of skill involved in these tries, it's just unexplainable. These two teams really were just playing at another level. I mean, if you watched the Highlanders game and thought that was good, then I suggest watching the Jaguares-Chiefs game if you didn't get up to watch it or it was the middle of the night where you are. It was a great advertisement for Super Rugby. The crowd was amazing. They were really into it, especially that last 10 minutes where the game exploded as well. It was just brilliant. With 10 minutes to go, the Jaguars were in the lead. The Chiefs stole it with 2 minutes to go. I was just speechless. I was just glued with the draw dropped. It was just an amazing game. The Chiefs eventually won it. My prediction for that game was for the Jaguars to win 33-29. So I didn't get the winner right, but my actual points scored by the two sides was within 10. So I picked myself up 1 bonus point from that game. It was a shame the Jaguars couldn't get the result there, but you can really tell that they've based their team play around the New Zealand sides like the Chiefs. The ability to score and attack from anywhere. Really, Argentinian rugby has gone that way as well, which is just such a joy to behold because they have the talent to do it as well. The Chiefs, though, they pulled it out, and credit to them. That was an absolutely ridiculous display by the Chiefs. Alright, that wraps us up. 9 matches in total. There's a pile of stuff to go through as well this week, so hope you managed to stick around to the very bitter end of this one. My points tally for this round, I only managed to pick myself up 5 points from this round, which isn't too many, but there's a draw in there, and there's a couple of really strange matches, 2 draws in there, which, you know, that cuts your matches and down quite quickly already. No one's really game enough to pick a draw, but we did have some selections coming in from you guys as well, and the closest to me on that one, let's have a look who that was. And we actually have a new champion for round 4 of Super Rugby picks this week. It's Neil Kutsea, who has selected and got his way to 6 points this week with one phenomenal pick. Also, we'll get some special mention as well to another pick. We'll get to that in a second. But Neil has picked out 2 matches within 10 points, especially the big one, picking the Crusaders to beat the Kings 56-22. The actual score was 57-24. What a pick! What a selection from Neil on that one. Also, another one he was pretty close on was the Lions to beat the Cheetahs as well, picking that one 35-26 when it was 39-22, picking himself up a bonus point and the win for that one as well. So, congratulations, Neil. Your first time of asking, you have picked better than me this weekend, and you picked yourself up 6 fantastic points as well. But the special mention will go to TGO321, who was normally the ones to get the closest, but not quite beat me. Once again, just for your own records, you got 5 points this week as well, same as me. But you did select another ridiculous score in the Highlanders Waratahs pick, where you said it was going to be 30 points to 27. My God, it was 30-26. That is freakish. That is freakish picks by you two guys. But congratulations to Neil Kutsea for your fantastic picks. Hopefully see you again next week, where you can have another go at the round 5 picks, and hopefully now the pressure is on me to beat you guys as well. So that wraps me up for today. Thank you everyone for putting in your picks as well for the weekend, and thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Hope you've enjoyed all the rugby content from Super Rugby this weekend, and I'll see you all for the next one. Until then, take care.